Hey everybody, Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good with you here on this latest edition of Snow Talk. Thanks for clicking on, appreciate that. We're into Friday night here. Kevin Harned, by the way, will be back coming up Monday night. I'll be with you guys off and on next week, including Sunday night. But he'll be back on Monday, get you back to the new year. And all you guys have missed him, and he is returning to some cold weather, so we can probably blame him for the chilly weather coming our way. I'm going to try to keep this short tonight. I say that every time, and I can never do it, but I'm going to try tonight. Let me get you right to the stats. Nothing's changed much other than the normal to date has increased to 2.2. On the board, one item, that is next weekend, Friday into Sunday. I'll break that down more detail in a second. First off, let's get through our system that's going to be arriving tomorrow with rain. Tonight we've had a patch of clearing right over the city. I saw the moon coming back in from dinner break and stars overhead. It's not going to last long. Clouds already moving back in. We'll fill that gap fast. Here are the showers behind that, and there's the snow across Omaha into Minnesota. That's not heading here, though. That will miss us. But you see the showers breaking out. I had this cold front stretched out from Kansas City to Oklahoma City. Notice this band here, some thunderstorms trying to develop in Oklahoma. We don't have lightning and thunder in the forecast tomorrow. I'll make a final call on that later if I need to add that. Instability is obviously very weak this time of the year. This kind of a setup is not impressive at all, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a lightning strike or two, but again, not a big deal. I just don't want you guys to get caught off guard if you hear some thunder tomorrow thinking, oh no, we're going to get severe weather. No, that's not the case. Here's how things look though on Futurecast. You see the rain breaks out tomorrow. Here comes that band. If there's going to be a lightning or some thunder, it would happen at this point as it crosses I-65 in the afternoon, because it does weaken in the afternoon hours itself. If you're traveling for the Battle of the Bluegrass tomorrow afternoon, all the area interstates and roadways will be wet, so use some caution as you approach and leave the city if you're visiting here tomorrow. We'll get a break Saturday evening briefly, mostly just spotty showers at that point, but then as we get into the Sunday morning time frame, our second surge, last time we were talking about this in the blog about how, the second surge could have been a snow event for the area. Well, the second surge is there. It is coming, but the cold air to produce snowflakes is right here. I mean, it's looking at us. Right here is where you can make snow. Right here, though, is where the rain is. They're just not on top of each other. Surprise, surprise. It does move out of here, and when you know it, Pennsylvania gets, the cold air does catch up to it right here, finally, and produces a snow burst at the very end. But it never does for us. And we'll watch. Even if it did, there's just not a lot of moisture left. You can see it's just very, very spotty if anything did happen. So not a big deal, but a good soaking rain, a good half-inch of rain coming our way over the next 24 hours. Okay, indices. Look at this. The Arctic Oscillation showing up on all three of our model looks here, from the Euro to the GFS and the upgrade, or the parallel GFS, as you may see it known as in other discussions, trending back toward neutral and negative down the road. The NAL also is showing up. It wouldn't surprise me as we get closer. See how a lot of the models are trending more neutral and negative, the other members are, and the model itself just picks a mean, if you will, and puts the black dots along that. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if you're going to see this black line trend more flat down the road. Same thing here and the same thing here. You should see that trend more flat. Arctic Oscillation, very similar deal. You'll see it trend more neutral instead of way positive as you're looking at here. Although this may stay slightly positive. It is already trending that way, but nothing too extreme. But the NAL should likely trend more neutral and then negative down the road. The PNA, though, this is the kicker, because that jet stream is just rocking right now in the northwest part of the country. We really need to get this back positive to get things back into snow lover territory, and it's trending that way. Let's get it to neutral, and I think we'll get there as we head into January. Here is the jet stream. You can see what I'm talking about. We've had this strong punch here in the northwest. Now, this is a nice setup here. I mean, you want to see this to get cold Arctic air in the United States. Well, you want that jet stream to arc itself all the way up into the northeast part of the country here, and into Canada, and we are certainly seeing it arcing, because then the cold air just dives right into here. But here's the problem. This would be nice if it was angled like this. This would mean just Arctic air right into the United States. But instead, see, it goes down and then it gets pinched to the left there. Well, as we advance, you see it gets pinched off completely. So the cold Arctic air, as it arrives into the United States, sorry about that. As the cold Arctic air drives in from the United States, it has pretty much a fork in the road. It says, okay, you can go here and you can go here. So you guys choose. So the cold air is going to decide which way it wants to go. And it very likely will be split evenly. Because of that, the degree of the cold air is not as severe, because the core of it more than likely is going to just hold steady in Canada, and only a piece will go into the Rockies, and we kind of get the leftovers. But even the leftovers for us is it's going to capture headlines, because the leftovers is still significantly colder air that is coming our way compared to what we've been used to. And as we head into the weekend, next weekend, you see that low pressure moving in through the area. There's some cold air available around, so we got to watch that. And then the Euro kind of goes nuts here, holding the energy back in the Gulf of California. That'll be interesting to track, certainly, in the Baja Peninsula, because that is a strong southwest flow into the United States. Many times we've seen the winter season, we do not have this. We do not have a moisture flow into the southeast corner. It usually gets shoved way to the south, and we're just cold and dry. Well, we got the moisture. Problem is you get warm air with this. You all know that. But you're not going to get a big snow, guys. You're just not going to get a big snow, the kind that you guys are already thinking of, the 70s and 1994. You're not going to get it without a good moisture source and warm air. You've got to have the perfect ingredient of that warm, moist flow along with Arctic air right at the edge. And that's why we don't see these big storms very often in Kentucky, Anna, because it takes a lot to have these line up just right for you to get that big snow. But if you're going to get it, this is the kind of pattern that raises my eyebrows and thinks, oh, you know what? There's a chance we could see something interesting in this kind of a pattern. When you get a strong moisture flow, we've had some Arctic plunges. It's not enough yet, I know. And you got to keep in mind, the Arctic air that is coming in this week, if the models are wrong and it's, colder than what it's saying, but especially since snow is falling right now from Wisconsin into Nebraska, the models are not picking up on that yet. So there's a chance, right now the models are modifying the Arctic air because it's not seeing a snowpack on the ground, so it does warm it up. Well, if we get a decent amount of snow in the next 24 hours in the Midwest, some of that Arctic air that comes in may not be as warm as indicated. And that could influence the storm for the weekend. So you got to keep in mind, there's a lot of factors when it comes to patterns like this. You can't just look at one thing, and you can't just look at one model. You run into problems when you do that. All right, let me show you the temperatures aloft. You can see here's the cold Arctic air, that gray shaded area. Watch what happens as we head into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It gets split. Remember that pinching off. One goes this way, one goes that way, and then you kind of get just the leftovers here, and then you see our storm form right in the middle of it, right there. See that little tug upward? That is our low pressure moving through the Ohio Valley. But you can see there's cold air available here for it to work with. And then we just kind of see a repeating pattern again as we get into January 5th. Now, as the Arctic front does move in, this will be Tuesday, there is going to be a decent flow here moving through the Ohio Valley. And because of the mountains and the higher elevations, there could be some upslope snow showers, mainly for East Kentucky and the Appalachians. A few flurries can be found as far west as 65, but overall it's an East Kentucky event for snow showers. But here's what we got to watch as we head into this weekend, because if the Arctic air is at play, it wants to pull it back or retreat it as we head into Saturday. And there's the 32-degree line. That's why I love showing this. This is the GFS parallel, by the way, the upgrade model, because it shows that freezing line at the ground, and here's the 35-degree line below that. I'm not going to go beyond this on the model because I don't want to confuse you guys. The problem is this low pressure moving in Friday, it's going to have moisture surging northbound. If this 32-degree line is not in its right spot, say it's back here, more to the south, then we're setting ourselves up for perhaps snow at first, and then warming to sleet, and then warming to freeze and rain, and then to just pure rain. That, to me, right now, based on the data, is a more likely setup to have happen Friday into Saturday, a mix going to all rain. But again, it all depends on how much this cold Arctic air for New Year's Day is still sitting here over us, and is it colder than what the models were saying to begin with. Still some debate on that. Here it is in the models. There's the GFS. Here is the Euro. You see they have a low pressure generally in the Ohio Valley, and it's pretty decent low pressure, but they vary somewhat on the amount of cold air that's going to be able to pull into it. And when you look at the other models here, this is the cold air potential. Look at the operational models. This is the ones a lot of you see. The operational models are fairly mild as we went early on Saturday, but look at the ensembles. They're not as warm as what, here's the Canadian. I don't have a Canadian map for operational that far out, but you can see that even the Canadian is colder on the ensemble compared to the operational. So the ensembles say there's a chance that the Arctic air may not be as warm as indicated, and that's something that we're just going to have to keep an eye on. All right. Man, I went over 9 minutes. Sorry, I tried to keep it short, but you know me, I get excited talking about winter weather, and I can't stop. All right, enough nerdy stuff about weather for tonight. I hope you enjoy the rainfall tomorrow, and I hope the best team wins tomorrow. You all decide which one that is.